So, welcome everybody. Welcome to our first kickoff of the Woman Worth and Wellness Pearls of Wisdom, the signature speaker series. What a way to start and have 2026 be amplified throughout the whole year. So, we're really excited to get going on this. Nancy Griffin, would you tell us a little bit more about you, Woman Worth and Wellness, and what this series is all about?
Okay, well, I put together some words because often I forget what I wanted to say. So I did write out a bit of a script here. And it's very simply Welcome to the Pearl Society for Pearls of Wisdom by Accomplished Women, hosted by Women Worth and Wellness. Kara Wood, who was our guest speaker in June, introduced me to Pod Pitch in New York. And over the last 6 months, I've been interviewed probably 6 to 10 times per week on podcasts globally about what has become evident is that the Women Worth and Wellness brand is stronger than ever. So coming into 2026, I spoke with Crystal and I said, oh my goodness, the one word is amplify. Amplify all the key aspects of women worth and wellness, but also all the key attributes of the year of the horse. And again, I'm going to share some words that I put together from the year of the horse, and Micky will tell us more about that. But it's all about freedom, energy, independence, and forward momentum. It brings intensified passion, speed, and transformation after last year's year of the snake, which is a year of cleansing, encouraging bold action, new beginnings, and breaking through limitations. Horses love to roam and seek independence. Horses possess great stamina, drive, and a zest for life, making it a year of dynamic, fast-paced action. Horses are courageous and pioneering, facing bold moves and rapid progress. Horses are social but value their freedom, balancing community engagement and personal autonomy. So, how can Women Worth and Wellness amplify all of this? I mean, it just seems like it's such an opportune year. And I said to Crystal, I think one of the best ways is by having this virtual series with accomplished women sharing their stories, starting with Micky, our special horse lady, who Crystal will now introduce.
Wonderful. Thank you, Nancy. All right. Well, I'm so excited to hear more from you. Our guest speaker today is Micky Colton. Her story is a very powerful reminder that accomplished women are built through experience, layers by layers, just like a pearl. That's what our Pearls of Wisdom series is all about. She's the founder of Horse Sense Equine Guidance in Prince Edward County, and she's become a certified feel facilitator. And I'm sure she's going to explain more about what that is. That sounds fascinating. It's a method to gain self knowledge and acquire clear, concise insights. And so she became a facilitator. Before that, she served for decades in the Royal Canadian Air Force as a pilot. She flew the C-130 Hercules, supported tactical airlift. Wow. Strategic operations and a search and rescue, moved into training and check pilot roles, and retired as a major with over 6,000 flying hours. Amazing. So let's kick it off with the horse lady from a pun intended. Welcome, Micky. We're excited to hear from you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the introduction. Um, what I think I'd like to do if is kind of take you from how I started my flying career and what I did throughout that, and how I moved kind of into my new my new career with those ponies that are probably standing outside the window staring in. I'm not going to open the drapes just in case, but so I started flying when I was 18. I got a coupon in a book of coupons that gave me a free flying lesson at the local flying club in Kitchener, which is where I grew up. And my boyfriend at the time said to me, "Well, you can't do that. You're a girl." So this is back in late 1970s. You know, you can't fly airplanes. That's just women don't do that. And so I have no idea to this day exactly what happened to him. He's out there somewhere. But that's one of those pearls that sometimes you have to move past to get where you want to go. So I started flying. I ran out of money fairly quickly. Even then, it was an expensive proposition to get your license, as you can well imagine. And it's, of course, got even more so since then. But And I thought to myself, I'd moved out into an apartment. I was sitting upstairs with my neighbor, and I said, I like to keep flying. I'm not sure what I want to do, how I'm going to do this. I said, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go join the Air Force. So she thought that was kind of funny. And she said, well, let me know how that goes. So I walked into the recruiting office in Kitchener, and the guy behind the desk said to me, oh, you're my first one. And I thought, well, Kitchener's not a tiny little town. I can't understand why I would be the first pilot that you'd have. And he said, no, no, you don't understand. You're the first woman I've seen coming in to do this. And I thought, oh, and he said, yes, this happened to be the 8th of March in 1980 that I walked into that office. And on the 1st of March in 1980, the Canadian Air Forces had opened the pilot trade to women. So my timing was incredibly good. It was within a week of them actually starting the process and taking women in to fly. And so I said, cool. So I went, ran through all their hoops. I went to Toronto to aircrew selection. There was 5 women on the aircrew selection course. Three of them already had commercial pilot licenses. They were flying on their own as well. And at the end of it, when they came back with the acceptance, I'm the only one that got through. And it was kind of shocking to me that the ladies with this way more experience flying, because I had never got my license, I ran out of money before that happened, were not able to weren't accepted by the Air Force. And I thought, well, why wouldn't they do that? Long time later, I think we sorted out why. It was because of one of the tests they did during the process, which was a very wild kind of stress test where you had to do what was called serial addition. So you sat in a room with a guy and he said, okay, I'm going to turn this tape on. It's going to give you a series of numbers. You have to add the numbers together and then keep going. So I said, fine, I think I can do that. My math isn't great, but I figured I could handle this. So it would start, the tape would start and it would say 1, 3. And of course I would say 4. And then it would give you, and then you had to add that last number, which was a 3, to the next number on the tape, which let's say was a 2. So now the answer is 5. Well, it accelerated. So it was going 1, 3, 4, 2, 1. And you can't keep up with that kind of thing. That's just not how it works. I mean, nobody's brain can. So I would you'd get fumbled and you'd start to laugh and then you pick it up and carry on. Well, that was the test, actually, in the long run. They wanted to see if you could make a mistake and recover and carry on. So that some of the people I was sitting there, and I went in probably fifth or sixth, and a lot of the people that came out in front of me were actually in tears. Guys, women, it was just like it because they were so stressed out by this whole thing. So, but I didn't know at the time, and I thought, what are they doing to people in there? Like, is this a torture chamber or what's happening? I thought maybe the Air Force isn't going to be as fun as I thought. So, got through the program, got into the training system. First started basic flying training in Manitoba, in Portage la Prairie, and on a low wing single engine airplane. Got through that. Had my first solo on a military airplane, of course. And after your first solo, you get to go for a dunk in a vat of icy water. Vat of icy water in February, March in Manitoba is not really a recommended practice. It was awe-inspiring and breathtaking, I guess is a good way to put it. But that was part of the process. So went on from there to do kind of land and sea survival and a couple of other options. I went in a hyperbaric chamber, the very first one I'd ever been in my life, where they pressurize you to see how your ears can respond to pressurization. And then out to Moose Jaw. So Moose Jaw is where the advanced flying training happened. It's on the Tudor aircraft. The Tudor is a single engine jet. It is the same one that the Snowbirds are still currently flying until they have to retire the airplanes. I mean, they've now moved on to different trainers. They don't use the Tudor anymore, but they called it the 2,000-pound whistle. It didn't have a lot of gas, but it went pretty quick and it got up, it was easy, it operated quite easily, 19 to 24, 25,000 feet. So it gave you that whole new aspect of flying under instrument conditions, flying visual, doing aerobatics, because on the basic flying training airplane, I didn't get to do aerobatics because the airplane was getting old, it was aging out, and they didn't want to stress the wings. So on the Tudor was the first time I'd ever done a loop, I'd ever done a roll or done any other aerobatics, formation flight. That was brand new. Was not my favorite phase. I got to admit, being within a couple feet of another airplane traveling along at 300 miles an hour is not Um, I would say like sitting in your living room watching TV, it's definitely a bit clenching in its whole aspect. So that was a phase. It was a phase though, like all the things you have to do. It's one of the things you have to get through. And I was lucky that I had another woman that ran through the course with me, because in those days, and even still, we were outnumbered. You know, females to males, the ratio was still hugely on the male side of it. Um, so I do apologize for the dogs barking in the background. They probably just heard something moving. Anyway, so off you know, Melody and I were on this course together, and it was lovely to have somebody else there, you know, that kind of got where I was coming went from, and she got where I was, you know, the whole back and forth thing worked because we were definitely outnumbered. And it was the training system is a little different in how it because everybody's just a student. So you get treated like a student, and all the students basically get treated about the same. So I didn't actually run into a whole lot of what the future was going to hold bias wise until I graduated. So we graduated, we got through the course together. We were both posted onto the C-130, which at the time seemed like a very large aircraft. And we're posted to 436 Squadron in Trenton, which is just very close to where I live now. I'm retired in Prince Edward County. So that was a eye-opening experience, let's just say. They didn't want us. They weren't willing to accept us. There was an awful lot of bias. There was a lot of subtle and not so subtle anger and resentment and words and stuff. And it finally came to a head one time on a trip with me when a guy that outranked me sat across the table from me at dinner and went into a rant. And I won't go into the words he used at this time, but it was pretty profane and it was pretty biased and it was very, very prejudiced. So I got angry about it. And I said at that point there was no affirmative action program. So when I got back, this was in Germany. So when I got home, I said I was going to take that on. That was going to stop. So I let all the other ladies in the squadron, which there's a few of us at that time now, know what had happened and that I was going to charge this guy. Anyways, we did work it out. The attitudes started to change. The military started to come in with better administrative coverage for women so that you didn't have to um, you had something to go back on. Before that, there was nothing you could really do. It was one of those, you're on your own, chickaboom. We don't want you here anyway. So, but that changed. And as time went on, it started to change and attitudes started to change. And we proved to the men that we really could do what we were there to do, that we could fly airplanes, and we were very, very good at it. And we brought a really different aspect to the flying, to the macho part of flying airplanes, because it's a very black and white procedure to fly. There's rules you must follow. Things go a certain way. But when you're handling the crew, that's where women really shine. That's where our strong points are. We know how to deal with people. We're much better at dealing with people than men are as a rule. I don't say that as a totally broad brush, but that was my experience. So you know, having got through that first part when the biases and the old thing, remember there's a Peter Finch movie where he yells out the window, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take this anymore. Well, that's kind of was what happened to me. I hit the pinnacle of, okay, I'm not taking this anymore. And it really did start to change. And as time went on, more and more women filtered into the program, more and more women that we had navigators, we had pilots, we had flight engineers, we had load masters, people handle the stuff in the back of the airplane. And it got better and better and better. So I moved on in squadrons and I became an aircraft commander, which gave me a lot more power. I became a check pilot. Like an instrument check pilot, so I could give check rides to people. I became a flight safety officer. So it gave me, I started to layer, as we talk about pearls and how they layer, my skills layered and layered. We stayed in Trenton. We were really, really lucky until the end of my career in 2011 when I stopped flying in the Reg Force and decided to join the reserves. And I just kept accumulating hours. I became a search and rescue pilot, which was my favorite role because I mean, what's better than saving somebody's life? I mean, it doesn't get better than that. So that became kind of my absolute favorite role. on this airplane. And in 2011, I thought, you know what? I've probably hit as far as I want to go. So I joined the reserves. I worked as a dispatcher for the search and rescue squadron that I was finishing my career on, and worked for another 7 years until 2018 to do that, to dispatch search and rescue crews for any 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, Christmas, New Year's, all kinds of holidays. We went. So in 2018, I hit the magic age of 60, and it was time for me to leave the forces, and I had to figure out what to do. So I took some business training where I met one of you, and and kind of got an idea that maybe I should start something new. I went back to school before I left the reserves and got a 1 year diploma as a veterinary assistant in St. Lawrence College, which gave me an idea too. At this point, I had horses already, so I had had horses ever since I could afford to buy horses. They've kind of moved along with me. In 2018, my husband and I, my daughter and her husband, bought 50-acre farm here in Prince Edward County because we wanted to bring the horses home. So I had one at that time, and my daughter had one. And then I acquired another. They're like potato chips, horses. You can't have just one. And so moved here to the county, built a barn, put paddocks in, horses came home. And then because I thought when they were here, I would ride more, and that was wrong. And now they're here, all I became was their slave to do the things they needed. So I thought, you know what, I need to do more with them. And so this is when I kind of encountered feel. I read about it. Serendipity works in mysterious and amazing ways. I heard about the program. I got accepted onto the course just outside of Toronto. I graduated in time for COVID to shut the entire world down. But the horses came to the work naturally. So my horses are my partners. I went from almost 18,000 horses down to four. And my business partners all weigh 1,100 to 1,500 pounds. And they have a sense of humor, and they have a purpose, and they are the most empathic um, beings I think I've ever met in my life. Dogs are empathic in a different way. Cats, well, you're there to give cats what they require. Pigs are like that as well, I found out with Mirabella. But horses are interactive. They're happy when you're happy. They're happy when you're genuine. They like to move forward. They're all about being authentic and being your true self. So when I finished the program, the horses and we did some training and qualifications, and we've been doing it ever since. So we have clients come from all over. Right now, when things are so stressful in the world, it's a really nice way for people to come and just let it out because the horses can take it. They can accept your anxiety, they can accept your stress, and they just literally throw it over the fence and allow you to express yourself. So people will talk to animals when they won't necessarily talk to people. So they are a very emotionally stable uh, therapist. I guess it's not therapy what I do. I am not a therapist, but they they're pros. They're absolute pros at it. And all of my horses, all four of the ones that I use in the program, have different strengths and different things they did. One of them was a rescue, had a very traumatic past. Took a long time for him to trust. He was always afraid when people came to do a session that they were going to take him away. That was his fear for a while. But he now understands that this is his forever home, and he does his thing. He is my pregnancy detector horse. He has detected 4 pregnancies so far in clients that have come. He tells me right away, like it's like, hey, did you know that there's a baby in this person? You know, like, and then he looks at them like, did you know you were pregnant? You know, and like I said, I'm sure that they do, hon. You know, so it's kind of interesting how interactive and amazing that they are. So that's what I'm still doing today. Is I'm doing this work with the horses and with people. I work with people. With disabilities and all, you know, the horses are fantastic. If you're a human being, if your heart agrees with your gut and your head, horses are cool and they're in it. So, and that's kind of what we're doing even today. So that's about it. That's my story in a very kind of short nutshell, I guess.
Yeah, that's a race. That's a race through Mickey's life to date. Oh
It
my
was.
goodness, so amazing. So amazing. And the thing that's so lovely about you is you've got all that energy to keep on going. And recently, on one of these podcasts that I was interviewed on, this one woman, actually, she's one of our guest speakers in February. She said, Nancy, are you still describing an accomplished woman the same today? as you always did 32 years ago when you started Women Worth and Wellness. And I said no, because women were trying to achieve. We were working to achieve. Well, now we've achieved.
Mm.
And so an accomplished woman to me is someone who keeps on going and keeps on with all her heart and soul, wanting to make the world a better place in her own unique way. And
Mm.
of course, you're doing that with your four horses. Tell us about each of the four.
Ha. All right. Well, um, I have to start with the horse that I lost. I had an elder horse. His name was Riley. He had been with me the longest. He was an intuitive, intelligent, wicked sense of humor horse. He
Amazing.
he he had a really good sense of humor, but he was very good. He's the one that I did an APTN interview, and he's the one that did drones were flying over his head, and he was like, "That's cool. I can do that." He he was really special to me. He ended up with dementia, and I
Oh,
had made a promise to him, and I didn't know horses got dementia, but he was
no.
29 at
Oh,
that point, and which is pretty elder for a horse. And he and I made a deal, and I promised him he did not have. It was winter that set him off, like cold, wet weather. He that would make him worse. So it was time to say goodbye, and so we said goodbye to him here at home, with surrounded by all of us and by all of his friends. And it's hard to do that. It's the same with any animal, right? It's a very hard thing to say goodbye. So he was kind of my first, and he was my leader horse. He would always come out for clients. He loved it. And next is Henry. So Henry is a great big 17-3 Hanoverian cross who's always worries about that he's not good enough. So he has a bit of a really soft side. He said, even though I'm big, I'm really, really soft. And he's very affectionate and very empathic and wants to snuggle and wants you to trust him and just touch me and be with me. And he's very sharing and very warm and soft. Tiggy is my current senior. He's 24 now. He's a standard bred, raced. They raced him till they broke him. And so he had some issues with hocks and knees and feet and stuff. They pin fired his legs so he wouldn't feel stuff. So he has trouble walking on ice because he can't feel his feet. It's like walking on stilettos. So he's very straightforward, this is what you need to do. This is the definition of he said, you're frustrating yourself. This is what you need to carry forward. So he's very direct, very kind of message driven kind of horse. And the last one is Apollo, and Apollo is another big horse. Oh, and sorry, I've got two more to go. Apollo is my newest acquisition. He's a big action guy. So he's the one that comes over to you, looks you in the eyes, and said, "You're carrying an awful lot of stress." He said, "I would like to take that from you." And so he literally goes, takes it, and flings it like he physically flings it over the fence. Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, he's really cool, and he does things that are very like wow, like very out there and very outre. And last but not least is Tango. So Tango is a standard bred as well. Didn't like to race, didn't think that he didn't needed to put that much effort into stuff. He was badly, badly treated. He was left in a field with no food and water. He had bones broken where he got hit. So he was the one that didn't trust when he first came, and he has become my kind of trauma centric trauma. His life was trauma based. He now believes, and I've always believed in him, and he has learned to trust and he's smart, and he just kind of gets it. So he's one of those kind of horses. So they all have a different thing that they bring to the table, so to speak. I guess to the round pen is a better way to put it than to the table, although they'd sit at the table if they thought they could get away with it. So yeah, they're the most vibrant, I think, business partners a person could have.
And
Although some
how
get a little hairy
how
with
do
it,
you,
you know.
how do you get to know all these unique qualities that they have?
How do you get to know it?
Yes,
They it's just become so obvious. I started to hear them when I started moving into this program. My career before was black and white, and you didn't have a whole lot of esoteric kind of outside stuff. But horses project messages very loudly.
amazing.
They have emotional resonance. They get into coherence with you. They're because they're so big and their hearts are so big and everything is big about them. Their guts are big, but they really believe in gut. Like horses are very gut driven. So that old thing about we have more neurons in our gut than in our spinal column. And if you trust your gut, then you're going to be fine. And they
Amazing.
trust their gut.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I want you to also tell us about the stories that you've written.
Oh, Well, during COVID, when everything shut down, I thought, well, what am I going to do? So when I was on this business training with Pamela, actually, one of the things I always tell these stories about what the horses were doing and some of the experiences and things that happened. And so the facilitators of the business training course, which was happened off the territory, they said, you need to write books. You need to write this down. And I thought, well, that's a really good idea. So by the time the next meeting came up, I'd already written one. And so I did a whole series of children's books because you can't say that it's not fiction. It's not fiction.
Right.
These things really happened,
Yes.
but I have to put it as fiction, right? So I found an illustrator. Who happens to also be Mohawk, which was interesting for me. And so she's never met the horses and she's just drawn them beautifully. And so I've
Wow.
got stories about all of them, and some of them have two books because they're special. And I'm actually in my in my last one that I've been dilly-dallying around on, so I need to kind of get going and get it done. So and I started to get them translated as well into Haudenosaunee, which is really nice. So
Wonderful. And how do we access copies of those books? Where can we
they're
buy
on
them?
Kindle. You can
Okay.
buy them on the Amazon on the Kindle site. Yeah, they're available on Amazon. So yeah,
Perfect. Well, we'll
I
put,
self-published because it's quite a deal to not self-publish.
yeah.
It's
Well, we'll
Do you
put
have any
those.
links? Yeah. Do you have links that you could give us too?
that would be I probably could if I could figure that part out. Krista,
Right.
That's
I
okay.
need you to
Send it
do
to us
that for
after.
me.
Yeah, we'll send it out after.
Okay. I've got three pearls that she shared that I really want to highlight.
Okay.
And the one that really caught my attention was the first one, making a mistake and then recovering.
Mm.
Interesting how you had that capability, but it brought others to tears.
Yeah, it was interesting. And in retrospect, over the years, looking back on that, it's just made me think, wow. So what gave me that? What gave me that? Where did that come from? It came from my parents, you know.
Amazing.
Yeah, it really did. My father was very ill when I was very young, and he ended up dying when he was 47 of leukemia. Now he
Oh,
wouldn't have, because
no.
in the timings, right, of it. But he always said you got to believe in yourself. So they gave and my mother is a force of nature. So she's
And she's still alive, isn't
yeah,
she?
she's going to be
She
92 this year.
Wow,
Yeah.
she was, yes, I remember her being there last year.
Yeah.
And she was pointing me to where the books were because
Oh, okay.
she's a big champion of yours.
She's a
The-
she's my
No,
champion.
no,
Yeah,
she's a gem. Having those relatives that are reinforcing are wonderful. The
absolutely.
other is when you experienced that awful rant and
Ah,
you were determined to take action and you took determined action. It
I did.
wasn't just a casual speak to the boss. You
No,
really took. So maybe comment on that because that's what we're all faced with and we kind of shy away with it even though we want to advance.
exactly. Confrontation is a difficult thing
Yes.
for everybody. When I got back to Canada from this trip, I'd already told my aircraft commander. I was just a first officer at the time, so I was a co-pilot. I told my aircraft commander, and he freaked out, and he called back to the squadron and said, "Mickey's coming home. She's mad. She's gonna be
Watch
mad."
out.
Like they all lost it. Like, it was a typical overreaction. Not well, except maybe it wasn't really an overreaction. It was a pretty awful rant. Um, and so when I got home, I went into the CO secretary, who was a lovely woman, and I wanted to get it all written down because I'd written it on a napkin during the whole rant. Everything he said, I wrote it down. Like you think he would have clued in that there was a problem here. Anyway, so when I got home, I had my napkin from this restaurant we were in, and I had all the words on it, and I dictated it to her, and she's going, she's typing it, literally typing it out. And she said, I can't believe that somebody said that to you. And I said, I couldn't believe it either. That's why we're doing this. And so they said, what do you want to do? How do you want to handle this? And I said, I want a meeting of all the senior level supervisors, not necessarily the commanding officer. He's one more rank above them, but I want them all get together with this guy who was at that same rank level. He was the same, like he was two ranks above me. And I said, we need to talk about this because this is not acceptable behavior. So we all sat in a room. He sat across from me. I didn't read this out to him, but I handed it back to him on the piece of paper. I said, this is what you said to me. And other people were aware of what had happened.
Good for you.
And he was, you know, alcohol is not an excuse, right? It's not an
No,
excuse
no.
because sometimes it just people say what they really think. And so, and the guy who was orchestrating this whole grouping, he said, "Well, what do you want to have happen?" And I said a couple of things. I said, "I want an apology for this, and I want him to mean it." Um, And I said I also want the word to go out that the women are not all the women are aware of this, that we're not taking this anymore. We will not be treated like this. We earned our position here, and we're keeping our positions here, and you're just going to have to deal. So deal. So he apologized to me. And in the hallway, after I'm walking down the hallway by myself, and he's coming the other way, I thought, here we go. And he said to me, "You never liked me anyway."
That's not the point,
Well,
buddy.
I like you less now. You know?
Right.
That was not the point, exactly. And then it was funny because I upgraded right after that, and I had a mission where we were flying, I think, cadets around out to Eastern Canada. And as we ended up at our final destination for the day, I said to the rest crew, "Let's meet and have dinner together." But before this had happened, they said to me, "Would you take him as your first O? Would you take him as your co-pilot, this guy who had been this problem?" And I thought, I could be a bigger man than you. You
Good
bet
for
your,
you.
you bet your
Good.
Bippy I
Another
can.
pearl.
Yeah, so I took him, and mission was fine. Everything went well, and it ended up. Okay, here we go again. At dinner time, I walked into the restaurant. He was the only one there. Whether he had set this up, I don't know. It's possible. And I sat down at the table with him, and he turned to me and he said, "I am really sorry."
Okay.
And then he started to cry. And I thought,
Oh,
okay. And so he kind of told me his backstory. And I said, you know that you can't, that everybody goes through all kinds of stuff. You can't take it out on other people based on their differences. So, but okay. But I said, now I really accept your apology because now I know you really mean it. So
good
it took
work.
them months, but it worked, you know. So, I mean, good resolution. And whether or not he talks about me and my story the way I talk about him,
Who
being a
knows?
part of mine, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But good courage. Good courage and follow through. And the final thing is really what you're enhancing is that women shine with the crew. Like that's the advantage that women have.
Yeah.
And we've always known, and that's one of our guest speakers in May is women getting on board. And more than ever, if there are at least three women on a board, then you can start to really affect change, which
Yes.
is wonderful.
Yep.
Crystal, I'll turn it over to you. You may have some questions, and then we can take some questions from our guests.
Yes, just a moment. So, in 2026 is all about the year that we amplify our unique purpose. So, what do you recommend? What do you say to our guests? What should we amplify? What should we amplify this year?
I have a whole accompaniment of dogs barking in the background. I'm so sorry.
Oh, we cannot hear any of it, so you're
Can you
good.
not? Oh, good. I can. I was thinking of yelling at them. So,
Amplify dogs barking.
yes, there's two of them in the kitchen and they're just they're barking off each other like, oh, we hear voices and where mom is. Like, let's all yell. Perfect. Anyway, so you're asking me what we should amplify in the year coming
Yeah,
forward?
our
Oh, that,
message really is about amplifying our unique purpose. So, what do
yeah.
you recommend, even a small step we can take to amplify ourselves?
I mean, one of the things that I think is to be genuine, like to bring forward your genuine self, your authentic self. The horses have really taught me that being authentic is absolutely vital. Being kind of true to what you believe in, to move forward with stuff, even if you think it's not going to work. It's never going to work if you don't try it. And so give it a shot, you know, and believe in yourself. I mean, I really think that's important to push.
I was a participant in a program called the Strategic Coach. You may have heard of it. And actually, they're Rose Hill Run Winery, one of the principals here
Oh,
in the county.
yeah.
And it's for business entrepreneurs. And when you start out, the thing that he emphasizes the most is helping you understand what your unique ability is. And once you understand what your unique ability is, that's when you immediately put a trademark on it. And that's where Women Worth and Wellness came from. But
Okay.
it's to your point, be authentic, bring whoever you are, your uniqueness, bring it forward and amplify it.
Mhm.
Right, absolutely. It even lends to my next question is that a lot of people say, well, amplify, but I don't know what to do. So, what is just even one action step that they could do in the next, even just 24 hours to start creating positive momentum in their life, in their business, anything? Like, what are some things that we could do, tangible things?
Huh. Tell the truth.
Mm,
You know, like tell the truth and don't hide. My mom always said, "Don't hide your light under a bushel." Like that's an old saying, but
It is.
you have a lot. You have a lot to offer. So speak your truth. Say what you feel, say what you mean, because feelings and what your gut's telling you are so important. Might
Just
save your
like
life someday too. You know.
The one thing that I've shared frequently on these podcast interviews is that you give more than you take. So focus on something other than yourself.
Mhm.
And one quick thing that I saw recently was if you see somebody without a smile, give them one of yours.
I know they're easy to share.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
and it's free.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't cost you anything.
Well, I love what you said because it really ties into the horses and what they do. They give so freely, easily, and they just tell the truth. They're completely genuine.
Mhm.
So the parallel of that is unbelievable. I love that. We have somebody in the chat even saying they love your story and what you're doing with the horses. So how can they participate more in your courses, or what does that look like to work with you or the horses?
I have a couple of different programs that I run here in the county. One of the places I'm on is Airbnb Experiences, because that was a good way to get during COVID to get kind of out there in it. And then I have, of course, have a website, the horsesense.net website. So sessions are kind of they follow a format, but the format flexes because it's different day, different way. And the horse always dictates how it's going to go. I have one horse that changes it up all the time. It's his thing. It's his kind of
His MO.
his special MO. Exactly. I say, this is what we're going to do today, and Henry goes, no, no, we're not doing that. We're going to do this. And I go, are you sure? He goes, yeah. And I go, so okay, let's talk about that. He's like, oh, you know what? I think maybe the first thing was really better. I thought, oh, Henry. Anyway, so a session here from the outset kind of involves me sitting down with the clients and telling them the story of the horse. So basically, where how they I mean, they have 60 million years of evolution. They've been around a lot longer than we have. And so they have evolved their senses to work with their environments, and they've adapted really well, to what we have given them. And so I tell people the kind of the story, how they evolved. I tell them about some of their emotional makeup. I tell them about their physical attributes and the things that they can do. Their heart is 5 times bigger than our heart. It beats
Amazing.
slower than our heart beats. They breathe slower than we do. They take things in a different way, and yet they can be explosive, right? They can go from a full shutdown to I am out of here. It's so fast you didn't even see me go. So yeah, they're pretty awesome. I then once people have done that, if they have any questions, we go into the barn. The horses are always in a stall as a rule in most of the sessions I do, and everybody has a chance with a pad of paper and a pen to meet them, and there's no touch, no talk. They're just kind of taking in whatever's coming across that. The horses will, if they want to work, they'll put their heads out. Even if they don't want to work, sometimes they'll do the "I'm coy, look at me, I'm beautiful, here's my whole self," and because they do have egos, and so I kind of give people a chance to start to tap into their gut now, to tap into what they're feeling, what they get back. And it's amazing. They get colors, they get impressions, they get names, they get that they're boys or girls or young or old, all kinds of really cool stuff. But it's into your intuition, right? I'm trying to get people to really start to trust that gut, because we always live in here, up in our heads. We don't get the opportunity to get into our hearts and get into our guts in a big way. So they do that. The horse tells me who they want to work with at that point, and then the people almost inevitably pick the same horse that said they wanted to work with them. Then I tell the horses stories, so people get an idea of their background and the things that have happened and why they maybe are the way they and why they felt the things they felt. We go then into the round pen one-on-one, and we do about a 15 to 20 minute just interactive connection exercise to start with, to get people used to dealing with an animal that's well over 5 feet tall, way taller
Yes.
than we are, right at the shoulders, and an immense presence, right? So people sometimes are afraid of them. Sometimes people just want to get their hands on them and stuff, but they have to learn how to be respectful, because horses understand a respectful approach, just like people do. Nobody likes anybody whumping into your space without
No.
without being invited. So horses are the same. They'll tell you when it's time to come in. My horses tend to be more interactive. They'll get into your space first and see if you're willing I've had one that actually did it with a client. The client was very closed, And this horse kept coming into her space. Like he kept just walking into her space without being, without, and it made her nervous. And I said to her, okay, here's how we're going to deal with this. So I taught her how to hold her space and how to hold her ground. And he saw it coming. Like he is so smart. So he went, he started to back off. And finally he got to the point where she really held her ground and he bowed to her.
Amazing.
Yeah. And I said, you did it. That's exactly what you need to do with people too. So this is my space. Don't step into it until I invite you. So very cool. So that happens. And then we come back and eat. And when that's done, we put the horses away. Sometimes it's hard to pull people out of the barn because now they've got very connected and very attached. And we usually come up and I do some art. So I've got all kinds of media and we talk about what happened. And so that's kind of, it takes about 2.5 hours to run through the whole session. And it's different every time, and the horses are different. And if they came back and they had the same horse again, it would be a completely different experience. Like the
Amazing.
horses just flex and do whatever is required that time, you know. And they don't do stuff. They see stuff. And one of them in particular, Tiggy, will have a message he wants to pass. He always passes a message, and if I don't get it on the first go, he gets angry with me, which is funny because he's like, oh, I can't believe I said this so clear, and you're not getting it. You know, like, oh, this the whole. He's very dramatic. So yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Mickey, we have two guest speakers in July and August who are county people, and I really want to profile the county by doing an on-site. So if we decided to have an on-site at your place, would that work?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because I think a lot of people would, I mean, really, 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 what you're putting forward is tremendous curiosity for us all to see what you're doing and to see these beautiful horses.
As long as you don't
And
mind a face about that big getting into your space, your personal space.
we don't need to wear makeup that day. No, they,
No, no, they'll take all the shine anyway. You just they're pretty front and center. I have a few of them that are camera hogs.
really.
Oh yeah,
Well,
Henry
in,
likes selfies.
in the county, we know we've got so many amazing people.
Oh yeah.
And this woman is Belinda Labatt, who has an art gallery with her daughter,
Okay.
but she is a critical minerals specialist,
Oh
and she
cool.
was just a guest speaker in Saudi Arabia
Wow.
on a whole critical minerals presentation.
Oh, that's neat.
So, I mean, critical minerals and horses. I mean, how great is life in the county?
Yeah, no kidding. Wow, what a diversity, eh? Holy smokes.
She is amazing,
Yeah.
amazing, and a
Cool.
marathoner, and all sorts of things. So we'll see what we might organize because I think a lot of people would be very interested in seeing your place, but we don't want to descend upon you until you're prepared to have us be present. So
Oh,
we'll
then there's
see.
lots of room.
Okay, see what we can organize.
Yeah.
Okay, any other stories that or questions that people may have? Crystal, where's Marianne? Marianne, she should have there she is. No. Okay, there's Pamela. She's got a question.
Yeah, can I come on camera? I'm trying to put the video on.
Have you got your pearls on now?
I do.
Good girl.
There you go. Start my
I
video.
failed pearls.
Okay. There we go. So
I
I
pearls.
actually
Yahoo! Look at
I have freshwater pearls, and
Oh,
I actually went and found these beautiful pearls that my daughter gave to me, Mickey. So you know
that.
Stephanie.
Oh,
So
nice.
Mickey and I
wonderful.
are good friends, and
Yeah.
we've gone to events together, and we've known each other, as Mickey said, for a few years. And we started that kind of online business course together during COVID, and yeah, we've shared a lot, haven't we?
Oh, we have.
So yeah, it's been amazing. So really amazing. I loved hearing your words of wisdom, Nikki. Always inspiring, and we kind of have a similar but different path. So I started off my career kind of in the 80s too, but in business, in transportation, which was for me very challenging because again, when I went to school and taking business courses, it was very male dominated, and then working in transportation for business development, very male dominated. I was one of the only women. And I wish I had kind of a mentor kind of guiding me along the way, kind of encountered a lot of, sexual harassment, sexual discrimination, and I love how you reported on that individual.
Right.
And for me, the first few times that happened to me, I didn't think even to report it. I was, in my 20s, I didn't think about it. And then when I got a little older, then you darn right, I reported it. And you know what? That's what made change because
Mhm.
people really understood that their words were inappropriate. And, they were offered, some HR, sensitivity courses, and it worked.
Mhm.
But that was, the 80s. So we're kind of trailblazing for us and, kind of learning along the way. So I'm wondering, what advice would you give to young women? I'm thinking about our daughters and, they experience different kinds of barriers, different kinds of obstacles. And I'm just thinking, like, what advice would I give to my daughter these days? And the world has changed so much since you and I kind of started our careers, but
Yeah.
I would still say, stand strong and stand up for what you believe in. But I'm just really would love to hear what you have to say, Mickey. And what would you say to say, our daughters?
I think exactly the same thing that you can't, I don't think we can relax just because some inroads have been made. Um, as we're seeing happen to our south, those rights are being taken away, stripped away at a fairly rapid race. Uh, I don't think we can stop paying attention, and just accept the fact that everything is cool and it's all going to be great and gravy from here on. I don't think it is. I think we really have to guard against that. So I think they need to stay strong, stay active, stay involved. I mean, for at the risk of using a bad word, they have to stay political,
Yeah,
you know?
Um,
yeah.
Yeah,
a
and it's
person,
too bad.
a, a person that you should connect with on LinkedIn is Dr. Wendy Sukier, Cukier. She is a trailblazing rock star, and she is the CEO of the Diversity Institute.
Oh, cool. I've heard of that.
And
Mhm.
every chance she gets, man, is she a champion for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Everywhere she goes, for everyone she meets. So we'll
Nancy, do you
see.
mind spelling her name again, Doctor?
Wendy Sukier, Cukier,
Thank you.
Cukier,
Got it. Thank you.
and all sorts of credentials and experience, but really a heartfelt passion and determination for all the things that we all know as women are what is right.
Mm.
Um, Mickey, to what do you aspire now? What are you working towards?
Great question. This is kind of tough times, I think, for business all over the place. I found that this summer people were really pulling back their resources and maybe more than ever, they need to come and, and let it out, because there's an awful lot of anger. So I've just got a couple of things. I mean, I need to continue working with my horses and respecting them and their role in the whole thing, presenting, I think, going forward with whatever reasonable cost advertising I can do to try to get more people to come and see them and have that experience. But I also need to finish that my last book, which I've, as I said, been so it's one of those things it's right up there on my agenda that I need to get that out because it's got a lot of short stories in it, and some of them are quite amusing about
Okay.
my helpful herd. So yes.
Wonderful. Well, obviously, we'll stay connected. And as all of those items come up, make sure you bring them to our attention because we're happy to push it out into our network.
Oh, I
More
appreciate
than
that.
happy
Thank
to.
you.
Crystal knows exactly how to push it out now. It's all over the world, literally.
Mhm.
And we're more than happy to do that. I mean, that's part of the whole amplification process. Like,
Mhm.
why wouldn't you? We're all in this world together. So working together to bring everybody's best forward is our pleasure.
Excellent. Wonderful. Thank you.
Crystal, any other questions?
No, I think that's it on the questions, and
Maybe
we'll just
Mickey has
wrap this
some.
up now and talk about our next speaker. And I think that's it.
Mickey, do you want to just share some final comments before we talk about what's next?
Um, I guess if I was to leave with anything, I would just say to people to take that next step. Don't even if it's scary, just take that step and try.
Yeah.
Like step out of your comfort zone a little bit. Every so
Ec-
often, it's a really good thing to do.
Excellent. And often women are shy about doing that because they don't want ridicule. They don't want people to say, well, who does she think she is? But on the other hand, every person, and again, this is a word that came up frequently on these podcasts, is that you are worthy.
Mhm.
And I said, if Taylor Swift was ever up for another global tour, we would have a worthy tour. Like everybody's worthy. Like,
Yeah,
go for it. Bring your uniqueness forward.
yeah.
Okay, Crystal.
Yeah,
All right,
I
let's
just
tell
have
everybody what's coming.
just one second. Marianne said she would like to say something. Marianne.
Hi there, thank you. And Mickey, thank you so much. I feel like I've been on a journey with you for this last hour. When I was, I don't know, in my teenage years, I went and stayed at a horse farm for 2 summers, and so got to know some of the ponies and their personalities. And you're right, some are very accommodating, and some will take off, and they truly do have personalities. And really, just such an interesting journey that you've been on with your career and where you find yourself now. Nancy, you said something about you know, having more women on the board and women just being very supportive of each other in our careers, in our personal lives. In my former life, I'm sort of semi-retired now, but I still find myself doing all sorts of things. But I used to be a marketing person in the entertainment business. And way back when I was working for a concert promoter. And in those days, the men in the business were in production, they were the promoters, they were finance. And the women, we were marketing, we were PR people. And we had to deal with the artists, we had to deal with the hierarchy of men. But those women, I mean, we were all very ambitious. We defended each other. We really sort of protected each other. And 35 years later, those women collect and come to my home. Um,
Wonderful.
and we've worked in, domestically, internationally, but we still have each other's back and we're still promoting one another. And we're into a different phase of our lives. But we also have a lot to offer. And so I think Nancy and Micky, what you're doing with this program is fantastic, and I applaud you. Thank you.
Well, thank you for joining. And Mickey and other guests who are present, Mary Ann is the vice chair of the board of County FM.
Oh, okay,
So
cool.
she's heavily entrenched in our local radio station, which and everything that it does, which is amazing, wonderful. So, this is what Crystal and I love to do with Women Worth and Wellness is bring all these fabulous women to the fore and share their stories, and we all learn from those pearls of wisdom.
Definitely.
100%.
So, Crystal, over to you.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Mickey, for sharing that, just sharing your journey with us, the courage and just the powerful wisdom. I definitely earned some pearls of wisdom today. I love this theme because it is just so poignant and just so relevant to my generation and the generations to come. So yeah, I love that what we're doing, that passing on our wisdom and carrying it forward to the next generations of learning what we can learn from each other. So next in our series, we have Rose Odette. She is on February the 12th, and we have a speaker February the 23rd, Rosemary Sadler. So Nancy, can you tell us a little bit about Rose Odette? Her tagline is lead like a lioness. So we go from the year of the horse to like a lioness energy. So tell us a little bit about
No,
Rose Odette.
she's again a triple A1 rock star, and again I met her through all this podcasting experience, and my first career was Procter and Gamble. She was offered P&G, but she took IBM, and she became a technology wizard. She started her own technology company focusing on healthcare. 100 million rev per year, lived in the UK for 10 years. Now she's back in, her address is Cadillac, Michigan. Imagine that, Cadillac, Michigan.
Mhm.
But she is just, full of all sorts of stories and wisdom. So she'll be on in February. And then we have Rosemary Sadler, who will talk about 30 years of Black history. And she too has written a children's book about Black history. So I think all of these books are really, really opportunities to help people understand what their story and what their bigger mission is by, of course, educating young people. March, we have Karen Kearney, who's a philanthropic consultant based in Scotland, and she'll talk about the power of her work working with different organizations so that they can bring their best forward. And then at the end of March, we've got Adrian, who is her whole thrust is I am unbreakable. So again, watch out. Truly amazing. And then we go on from there. But really, we had planned to have one per month, and we're now having at least two and possibly a third because there's so many incredible women with so many incredible stories. And my goal is to focus on all the positives because we know the world is inside out and upside down. I want to fade that to black. And how we get to those positives is by hearing from all these amazing women and their experiences and what they're working towards currently to make the world a better place. So back to you, Christelle.
What I really love is that you've highlighted, they're all like women, they're pioneer women, every one of you guys. And so it just leads the path and leads the way for all of us to do the same too. What can we lead and amplify in our life? And that is really the key message of everything, is that even if it's something small in your family, how can you amplify that to the max of who you are? Because women, we are powerful and we can do an incredible things. And together, we are so supportive and even stronger. So it was a very enlightening chat today. Thank you very much. We are going to close it off, but please do, if you haven't, we're going to be sharing this recording with a few people to bring our audience even wider for the next series. And yeah, please do join us on the February the 12th is the next one and onwards, because these ladies, all of them just have very unique stories and incredible pearls of wisdom to amplify your life in this 2026 and beyond.
Of
So
course.
thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you, Micky. Thank you, Crystal. And thank you all our guests. And we'll look forward to keeping in touch. You'll get a replay. Please feel free to share it with others and also share the whole series with your networks, because the more people join us, the more fun we can have. And of course, wear your pearls with pride.
I'll wear my pearls next time.
I love it. All right. Thank you
Thanks,
all.
Micky.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
Bye.